IVM.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawala, your peak performance coach, life coach, emotional intelligence practitioner, and NLP practitioner. I'm also the founder of Abzo Expertise Unique, and my organization constantly aims at building leaders across continents. After having worked with so many dynamic business honchos, entrepreneurs, startups, CEOs, management gurus, parents, and student communities worldwide, I am convinced that every individual has unleashed potential. And all we really need to do is realize it. Watch the magic unfold, enhance quality of life, relationships, and professions. On my show, be ready for some riveting conversations with inspirational people, snippets, stories, and much more. So here I am on this exceptional journey to find empowerment and inspiration anywhere I can. Come join me on this breathtaking path of self-realization, potential maximization, positivity, and most of all, embrace your inner power. You are on your way to empowering yourselves. Welcome to the Empowering Series with Zarina Poonawala. On today's episode, I'm in conversation with a pioneer and flag bearer of one of the world's most ancient healing practices, Ayurveda. I am pleased to welcome Dr. Pratap Chauhan, founder and director of the well-known Jiva Ayurveda. So welcome, Dr. Chauhan. How are you today?
Good evening, Zarina, and thank you very much for having on this podcast. I am very well, and I hope you're also doing well in this time of crisis of COVID-19. Everybody is, I think, trying to prevent, and this is a perfect time to talk about Ayurveda.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm doing fine, doctor, and I hope you are fine as well. In fact, I should ask you and start with this. How has the lockdown been treating you?
Well, the lockdown really, for me, it was quite interesting period. I think I did more than what I was doing earlier
Mm-hmm.
because, as you might be aware, that Jiva is a pioneer of telemedicine, and this was the perfect time to practice our telemedicine. And in addition to that, because I normally travel to many countries to teach courses, but due to the flights not available, I was teaching from home. So I have already taught like four courses, one to the Russian students, one to the Polish students.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished last week a course for the Japanese, and today I started one for the Lithuanian people.
Oh, wow. So basically, a lot of international work is happening on your
Yeah,
front. That's what it is.
yeah.
And you have been finding yourself way more productive during the lockdown, it seems.
Yeah, I think personally, I like to be in a place where there's not much disturbance. In Ayurveda, we have different type of personalities. So I am a type of personality who prefers to like focus on things, and I can if I'm given my space and not much disturbance,
Mm-hmm.
so then I'm more productive rather.
That is lovely. But
Yeah.
doctor, you've been in this industry for quite some time now in Ayurveda as a healing
Mhm.
practice and medicine. And it would be lovely to know about your journey. I mean, how did it all start for you and how did you decide to do Ayurveda and actually start Jiva Ayurveda eventually?
Okay, so this is a quite interesting story. Around early 80s, my elder brother, who did his MTech from IIT Delhi, he went to US first and then he came back from there. Somehow he was not very interested to continue the material life. He kind of took renunciation from this world,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "I will go back and I'll study the Vedic system of sciences, and I want to do something different." So when he came, it was quite shocking for a while to hear this from him, that because we all were like very much focusing on, even personally I was thinking maybe I'll also go to US and do something there. But in a way, he started saying that the goal of life is not just making money. There is something more than that we have to do. And that was quite striking. And that's when me, him, and my another brother, three of us, we were talking like, okay, let's do something different in this life. And that's when we actually conceived this whole idea of Jiva, which one part of that is Ayurveda.
Mm-hmm.
Another part is that we wanted to do something in the school education for children. We thought that we must bring some kind of a new education system where children can learn the best of both worlds, some traditional values as well as the modern technology. And of course, the third part was, more like connected with the higher philosophy of life. What is the ultimate purpose of life, and how we should, practice something in our this modern context, so that we can also, do something better. Like what we call good karma in our philosophy. So
Right.
anyway, that was the talk, and then we all, started meditating on this idea. It took us like almost 11 years to really, make some little money so that we could build a small house in the city, because we belong to a small village. My father was a farmer, and when he came back, I was in studying in this Ayurvedic college, the first year of Ayurvedic college. So I really like focused on studying Ayurveda, because back in early 80s, Ayurveda was not so popular, and even many of the students who joined Ayurvedic colleges, they were joining because they could not get into the MBBS or the modern medicine,
Hmm.
and they were not seriously interested to learn Ayurveda. But I got really interested. I studied very deeply, and not only that, I also looked for an authentic teacher,
Hmm.
which I found when I was in my second year of college. So I started visiting his clinic. He was very close to our college. I studied in Delhi University. Our
Okay.
college was in Karol Bagh. So after finishing my degree, 5.5 years of bachelor's in Ayurvedic medicine, then I studied for another 5 years with the teacher in a so-called the Guru Shishya Parampara, which is the authentic lineage of teacher and disciple. And I was very surprised that, I studied the same books with two different perspectives. So I was very inspired, very, motivated that I would like to share this knowledge with the world. And that's how I started my clinic in a small garage. I didn't have much money, so when we built the house in the city, in the garage, I started my clinic. I had nothing to invest, some old chair and table, and some medicines worth like 2,500 rupees that my guruji just gave me, from his pharmacy. So that was the beginning of Jiva Ayurveda. But I was quite dedicated to, bring this knowledge to the masses. So I think that was the basic thing that brought me here today. And in this journey, if I may tell you a little bit more, when I started my practice, I was quite young, and in those years, people used to think that an Ayurvedic doctor should be an old man.
Oh, yeah.
So it was quite tough time for me to convince people that I am the doctor. I got a chance to go abroad in '94. I started my clinic in 1992, and after 2 years of my practice, I got a chance to visit four countries in Europe, because I was working with some organization, and they said, "Why don't you come and give some lectures?" So I went to France, England, Sweden, and Denmark. So when I went there, I was more inspired, because people in Europe were quite interested to know about this Eastern medical science, or the holistic medical system. So when I came back, I thought, I can't go there very often because I don't have the money to go there, and everybody will not come to my garage. So how do I, share my knowledge, and how do I connect with people? So internet was just starting in those years. So I was very inspired to make the world's first Ayurvedic website. So I made it in 1995. It was definitely a big news in those years. And after that, I never looked back, because I started using a lot of technology. And first, the people were asking me some questions about their health. So I was not sure if I can do consultations through emails. But I thought, let me just use one part of the Ayurvedic diagnostics, which we call Prashan Pariksha. Prashan means asking questions. There are many types of diagnostic techniques in Ayurveda.
Right.
One of them is Prashan Pariksha, asking questions to the patient. So I prepared a questionnaire, and I put it on my website, and I also used to send it to the people who wanted to consult me,
Hmm.
and they will fill it out, and based on that I would analyze their Ayurvedic diagnosis, which dosha, vata, pitta, kapha, which dosha is out of balance. And I started advising them some, home remedies, or some local herbs which were available there, and some of them who were serious, I started sending them some small packets of medicines from India. So that's how the telemedicine began, in that shape. 96 I started the world's first online Ayurveda college because many people wanted to study. In 97 it was the first video conference. I was teaching students who were in Sweden and Tanzania, and that's how the journey began. It was quite popular. I was treating countries patients from almost 100 countries through online consultations. But then somewhere in deep in my heart, I also wanted to help the people in India, especially the people in rural India who had not much medical facilities available.
Right.
So 2003, we had a project with MIT, USA. The project was called Media Lab Asia. So we were partners, and they provided some technology.
Hmm.
So, and the technology was to be used in rural India. So I created a very interesting program on a Nokia phone back then because there were no smartphones.
Of course.
So this was the world's first Ayurveda app called Teledoc, and one person would go on scooter to different villages, take the history of sick people, and it will come to my computer. I will analyze it like I used to do through the emails. Then this will next day I'll prepare the prescription and the same person will go and deliver it. So it was something like I also got inspired from Domino's because Domino's were delivering pizza, so I thought I can deliver medicines. So this was quite successful and more inspirational project. I won the World Summit Award in United Nations, Geneva,
Wow.
because 136 countries were participating. So my project was the first. But then I could not mass scale it because I didn't have enough money to scale it up in India. So then 2006, I came up with another idea to make a TV show. And in the TV show, I was flashing one number and I told people that anybody who has any problem, please call this number. Because by this time, a lot of people had mobile phones.
Right.
So the idea was that anybody who has a cell phone, I would want to put a doctor in their pocket. Means my Sehat ka number, my number, I would put in their phone, and they could call me anytime. So that's how the current telemedicine that we have today that started. And today we have around 350 Ayurvedic doctors. Our facilities are in three locations: Faridabad, Pune, and Indore. And every day we do around like 7 to 8,000 patients. We and most of these people are from rural India, and we are helping them, telling them about lifestyle, about food, and telling them some home remedies. And those people who want medicines, we ship them through different modes like postal services or some courier services. So this is a kind of a interesting journey.
Very interesting, very interesting. I think you are quite the visionary, I would say. I mean, you've seen things and you have always been far-sighted in terms of what can be achieved because you've achieved it before your time. Everything that you're
Mhm.
talking about has been way before the actual time of existence of, whether it be the usage of internet or the delivery system. It's all way, it's just a sign of an absolute leader with vision. I guess that's what it is.
I just want to mention that when I did the telemedicine, a lot of people didn't like the idea,
Oh, no?
especially in the Ayurvedic circles.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that in this lockdown now it has become like a government guideline, So finally I said, okay, it has been officially
Announced.
announced by the government. And on the side, I was doing a lot of traveling all over the world. So I created many schools. Like in Japan, we have a school in Tokyo, in France, in Poland, in Lithuania. So outside of India, we were doing a lot of educational programs because practice is not allowed there.
Mhm.
So we were educating people on lifestyle and nutrition and basic general things. So this is another part which developed, and now Jiva is kind of like a well-known brand not only in India but also internationally.
Yes, very, very well-known brand. And I must say that my mum uses Jiva
Oh,
Ayurveda
that's
products.
good.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are trying the organic route. So
Mhm.
naturally, and having this conversation with you will obviously, just encourage me also to make sure that I use the right kind of
Yeah,
Ayurvedic course
I'm
of
sure I'm
action.
sure your mother is always telling you to use it
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah,
I
mothers.
many young people who meet me,
Mm-hmm.
they often tell me that my mother watches your show every
Hmm.
day and she is telling me some recipes. But now it's interesting. We look at our data.
Right.
So around 35% of the people who call us are young people. They're from
That's right.
30 to 45. So a lot of young people are getting interested in this kind of holistic approach and natural things.
And I think this approach is so beautiful, Dr. Chauhan. The fact that you have, like I said, you're a visionary and you've had this remarkable journey from your garage to 350 doctors and 80 clinics. I don't think
Mhm.
that's very achievable for a lot of people. And it's because you've been able to see the future of
Mhm.
Ayurveda. But I think somehow in countries, and especially in our country as well, although Ayurveda has its roots here, I think people
Mhm.
tend to not look at it as an alternative healing method, or a proper therapy or medicinal value in the first go. They're always looking at it
Mhm.
as a second way, or like a second opinion healing. A lot of
Mhm.
times that acha ye nahi karna hai, go for Ayurveda, try that out. So how do you deal with that? I mean, do you see that people can actually start off with Ayurveda as a scope of healing themselves, and then maybe there are certain aspects that cannot be healed, which obviously you would be better off answering, but in general, that should that not be their first way of looking at things, going the natural way, going the organic way, holistic way?
Yeah, definitely that is a challenge, we have been facing. And I have worked a lot on this, especially through my TV shows, because
Mm-hmm.
my TV shows are more educational. And we also have a lot of testimonials and case studies. And I like to make the shows in a very, more like a simple way, which people can understand. And the shows are also quite motivational and inspirational. But still, as you said, a lot needs to be done in terms of propagating Ayurveda as a medical system.
Right.
And as you use the word alternative, many people think Ayurveda is an alternative medical
Yes.
system, but Ayurveda is the oldest medical system. It is the main medical system. All other things are alternative to Ayurveda. So what we have done, we started a campaign I think 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm now telling people that Ayurveda first. The campaign is Ayurveda first. So if you have anything, why not try natural things? Why do
Exactly.
you want to come to us in the end when everything is messed up and there's a lot of complications and it's almost in the last stage? That's when people come to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to work on this, and it has been very successful. Right now, I would say that more and more people are starting to realize, and especially during this COVID, this pandemic. Now,
Right.
not only in India but even all over the world, people have realized that there is something we must really not, just miss out, and that is this natural way of healing, whether it is our home recipes or kitchen spices, or even just lifestyle or exercise and all these things. So especially in Europe, I have been finding, like, last few years,
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to talk about disease now. They're more talking about maintaining health. Everybody wants to be healthy. They don't want to fall sick. And this trend is now coming in India, especially in the young generation. I'm seeing more and more corporate, people who are working in corporates, or people working in media, and all these young people,
Right.
they're quite aware of how to become more healthy using natural stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's time, and I think it will be changing slowly into favor of Ayurveda more and more.
Right. And since you mentioned that during the pandemic, there are more people coming in and there are definitely more inquiries, I'd like to kind of bring out the statistic that has been going around currently. If you
Mhm.
see, the number of cases in India have increased drastically, and we have crossed Italy, we have crossed a couple of other countries, but our mortality rate is still quite low in even in the
Mhm.
pandemic. And I think it has to do a lot with our intake in general as a country. We have spices in all our food. Every
Yes.
Even doctors currently, in fact, I had somebody who spoke to me recently, and the family tested positive. So the first thing the doctor said is, please start having warm water with lemon, warm water with haldi, turmeric,
Mhm.
kada. So it
Mhm.
really comes to mind that there are certain things that have been in our system and that we have been having in the form of Indian spices or foods that are helping
Yeah.
us even through this time. What's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing, definitely, because Indian kitchen is full of spices, while the West is now fascinated about turmeric and curcumin and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and the chai
You
latte,
know,
the chai
we
latte,
we have
turmeric lattes.
now that, the turmeric latte has become very popular. So we have been drinking our haldi wala doodh for centuries, you know. So
Absolutely.
this is definitely a very important point. And also, you know, in the early time when the Corona came to India, from the very early days, if you remember, you know, our Ayush Ministry have been very proactive, especially our Prime Minister
Hmm.
was very proactive, and he loves Ayurveda and the traditional systems of medicine.
Hmm.
And the Ayush guidelines were issued so very early. This all drinking warm water and you know, making your own kadha with some ginger and tulsi and black pepper, cinnamon.
Hmm.
These things are now, you know, household things. You know, everybody is talking about it. You know, definitely this has, you know, been one of the factors why, you know, the death rate is very low in India. And of course, in addition to that, now you might have been hearing that in many states, including our Haryana state, in Kerala, in Goa, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, you know, we have been doing a lot of Ayurvedic interventions for prevention, you know, even at the government level.
Hmm.
And you'll be happy to know that even at the treatment level, a lot of things have started in last, you know, 3 4 weeks in association with the modern scientific institutes of India. The Ayush Ministry have created a task force, and some trials are also going on specific formulations of Ayurveda. So I think it's a great opportunity, since modern medicine has no treatment yet. There is no vaccine, and in modern medicine they're also just trying different things. You know,
Right.
sometimes they're trying this medicine, sometimes, or most of the time they're just managing the symptoms. You know. So why not? We should try this our Ayurveda, and that's what the government has been doing. So we are seeing quite positive results actually in like in some hospitals, Ayurvedic hospitals, where only Ayurvedic treatments were given. Very good results are coming, but we have to still like come out with a proper documentation and, you know, proper evidence based, you know, paper,
Right.
so that we can also share it with the world, you know. So that thing is also coming. I'm quite sure that Ayurveda will become more known and more accepted after this pandemic is over.
And what about the fact that through this pandemic, businesses are being affected, livelihoods across the country in general? There has been, of course, a lot of people have lost their jobs and all of that has happened. Do you think Ayurveda has its way of being able to elevate people mentally and emotionally as well?
Yeah, definitely. But first of all, I have a different opinion about what has happened in the
Sure,
world, you
sure.
know.
Please share.
So my opinion, again, it is based on Ayurveda, you know,
Hmm.
because in Ayurveda they have a very nice chapter on epidemics and pandemics.
Oh, they do?
And this chapter is called Janapado Dhvans. Janapad means community, Dhvans means destruction. So in the old times also, because Ayurveda was written thousands of years ago, there have been mentions of such. And the interesting thing is that they have described the root cause. Of course, they say that pollution of water, pollution of air, and whenever there will be pollution of the soil,
Hmm.
and all this, even pollution of mind, you know, when our minds will become full of like anger and greed and jealousy and envy. So all these will lead to, you know, pandemics, you know. Let's not go into so much detail, but the bottom line, they have mentioned that the root cause of all this is adharma. That's a very nice word, adharma. We know dharma. Everybody
Right.
understand what is dharma. Normally, people think dharma means religion.
Hmm.
The word dharma in Sanskrit means that which sustains, that which upholds. So I always give an example. For example, when you're in a highway driving a car, you follow the dharma of traffic, means the discipline, the rules.
Hmm.
So why this pandemic, you know, and why this breakdown of all the economies and so-called, you know, business world?
Hmm.
I believe that we were going in some wrong direction, you know, and the world will remain. You know, world has always remained here. People will remain, but I think some new norms will be set up. How we do the business, how we interact with each other. Already, you see, the ozone layer has healed,
Yes.
the air quality has become so nice, the rivers have become clean, the oceans have become clean. So I think this is mother earth's its own way of balancing, or its own way of healing. We had created too much, you know, chaos here, you know. We occupied the space of the animals. Now the animals are out there. You can hear, you know, so many animals, birds chirping around your house.
Right.
So I this is my perspective on this, that whenever we reach too far in a wrong direction, then the earth has to take over, or the nature has to take over and take control. And this is what has happened. And I've been telling people that, it's time we should introspect. We should really like to just think that what is the ultimate purpose of life. We all want peace and love and happiness, right?
Right.
And that is not very expensive. We have been completely lost in this so-called mad race, and lost our health and relations and families, and we have no time for our children. So the this crisis has taught us to stay with family, live simple. Many people have told me that I was spending 50,000 rupees per month.
Mhm.
This month I spend only 5,000 rupees, and I'm eating quite good food in my in my home. So they're saying that we don't need that much. We were just wasting too much money just on things which are not necessary.
Absolutely.
So I mean, there are many things, and I strongly feel that there will be a new normal after this crisis. And of course, health is going to be the new wealth. As you said, that a lot of economic problems have happened.
Mhm.
So I have been talking about this. Health is your new wealth. Of course, we all heard this saying, health is wealth.
Mhm.
But if we remain healthy, we can build it again. It's no big deal. You remember when you first started your profession, the first day, did you have anything? No. I
No.
started in a garage. So if needed, I can go back to my garage if I'm healthy.
Right.
But if I'm sick, then I can't do anything. So I'm telling people, maintain your health. Just protect yourself, and then you can do it again. Economy we can build it. It will be just a matter of time, and we should definitely keep our minds calm. You asked a very nice question,
Mhm.
because people mentally are very, very disturbed right now, because again, we are very much in some kind of a panic and fear what's going to happen. So again, Ayurveda will be of great help, because Ayurveda is a knowledge that talks about physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, all different levels. Even social well-being and emotional well-being is covered in Ayurveda. So there's a lot of things we talk at the mental level, how to keep the mind happy and healthy.
Right. And just the fact that you mentioned, people actually trying to find that ultimate goal of being peaceful and happy. And even in my coaching session, sometimes I ask this question, what's your ultimate goal? And when I get that answer,
Hmm.
my usual question to them is, why not now? How? Because I think people confuse the fact that happiness or peace is a state of mind. It's not a goal.
Yes,
It's not an
yes,
objective. You don't have to achieve it when you're 70 and have ill health
yeah.
and still be troubled about being happy or being peaceful.
Mhm.
You can achieve it now, and while you have achieved a good state of mind, a positive state of mind, you can continue to work towards your goals. Even though there are problems, there will be, and you have a wonderful perspective
Hmm.
in when it comes to the economy or the market, or how we can all build everything back together.
Mhm.
And yes, of course, nature has suffered so much, so naturally it's time for nature to heal, and us also to allow ourselves to understand and learn from this particular pandemic, because we shouldn't go back to how we used to live before.
Yes.
Otherwise, we will be facing this again.
Yeah, and you're very rightly saying that why not now? This is a very nice point you have made. Many people they think that I'll do it when I am retired, and I'll do it when I'm old.
Right.
But what's the guarantee that you will live by then, number one?
Mhm.
And what's the guarantee that you will be healthy at that time? Because all these things require a healthy state of mind. If you want to be happy,
Mhm.
of course, you have to have a state of mind which is free from all negative emotions.
Right.
But if you don't start it now, you'll be too attached to so many things by the time you become old, and then it's difficult to detach.
It is so
So
difficult.
it's very nice, and I'm very happy that you are doing so many health shows and health talks.
Mhm.
And if you allow me, I would like to know
Sure.
what is your personal view about, like, what do you see the stumbling block to make Ayurveda accessible to people, or to make it in the mainstream medical system? What is your take on that?
I personally feel, Dr. Chauhan, that this is the right time for Ayurveda to actually grow
Hmm.
in terms of having a much more larger market value, brand value, understanding, and awareness. I think what Ayurveda really missed out for a long time is awareness that it is a proper form of medicine and not an alternate healing
Yeah,
medicine, right? So,
good.
in my opinion, the fact is that
the world around us now, and no, I'm not talking about our country, I'm just talking about different countries. Like you have schools and you have institutes in various other countries. That itself is proof for us that people are willing to learn,
Mhm.
and people are willing to adopt and adapt to something natural, holistic, and organic, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And if you see around the world, there are people who are turning vegetarian or vegan and so on and so
Yes.
forth. Similarly, I think Ayurveda is going to be a lifestyle. If
Mhm.
you adopt it as a lifestyle, yeah, more than just medicine, you will realize the value of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally do follow Ayurveda. My mom is a fan, but I have my own ways of going about things. I should be better,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. But as of now, what I do feel is definitely there is no better healing than natural healing.
Yeah.
And if you are providing, the right, I mean, with the kind of work you are doing,
Mm.
the teledoc and
Yeah.
being able to deliver to people, institutes and teaching and awareness, I think the more we reach out to people the way you guys are, I think that itself is enough. And this is the right time, because the pandemic itself has taught everybody that natural and organic healing is actual healing. No, there's no vaccine, and we really don't know if we're all, whoever's turning or testing negative, is healed or not. We're still not aware of
Mm.
that, right?
Very interesting.
So I think it's a great time for you, great time for the business.
Yeah. So I'm very glad that really, you may not be aware of this, but
Mhm.
you understand Ayurveda very well. See, you mentioned that you have your own way. This
Right.
is this is what Ayurveda is actually.
Really.
Ayurveda is not a general knowledge or a general science. What applies to you doesn't apply to me.
Mhm.
It's not one size fits all. You very rightly said, each person is unique. In Ayurveda, it is mentioned each person is unique.
Mhm.
Each person has to find her or his own way. Like what suits what diet is suitable for you is may not be suitable for me.
Right.
So the Prakriti concept in Ayurveda, each person has a unique Prakriti or constitution. This is
Mhm.
very rightly you mentioned. And I would like to mention here, since you are into coaching,
Mhm.
Ayurveda can help at any level to any segment of the population, because I always translate Ayurveda. If I break Ayurveda into two words, Ayur and Veda.
Mhm.
So Veda is knowledge. We all know Veda in Sanskrit means knowledge. And Ayur is defined in Charak Samhita as a combination of body, senses, mind, and soul.
Right.
Sharirendriya Sattvatma Sanyog is Ayu, which means literally that Ayurveda is a knowledge about human beings.
Right.
So it's you very rightly mentioned. It's a way of living. It's a way of life. And if you just translate Ayu as life, you can very literally say it's a knowledge about life. So I sometimes say that Ayurveda is the instruction manual for human beings. Like when you buy a phone, you get a manual, right?
Mhm.
Or you buy any gadget, there is an instruction manual how to use it.
Right.
So Ayurveda, of course, is not only a medical system. There is a part of Ayurveda which is for living healthy life. There are two goals of Ayurveda. One is to maintain the health of those who are healthy,
Mhm.
and another is to cure those who are sick. So the first part, maintenance of health, is where I say that it's an instruction manual. It just teaches you how to sleep, how to eat, how much to eat, how to exercise, how to relate, and that everything is personalized. It's not that what suits me will also be suitable, because every person is unique. So this is the beauty of Ayurveda, that it's a personalized thing. And you'll be happy to know, maybe at some point I'll talk to you more about this.
Sure.
I have just been working on a program which is called Ayurvedic Life Coach.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
because I read a little bit of coaching, and
Uh-huh.
I saw it has so many things similar to Ayurveda, because in coaching you're also working with the person, very, very closely on
Very deeply, yes.
emotional and psychological and spiritual and all the levels.
Mhm.
So coaching is very, very similar to Ayurveda, but unfortunately, as many people still think Ayurveda is just a medical system or some spices, but Ayurveda is more than that.
So I think I would be able to say this very safely, that you will be able to coach people and do Ayurveda, but I won't be able to coach people with Ayurveda because I don't have the knowledge of Ayurveda. But I think I'm on the right track. I'll just have to take your guidance
That's
and
what
learn
we
how
are.
to. I think you'll have to coach me to coach
Yeah,
and
so
Ayurveda.
that's what we are planning to make. I am working with a coach in UK,
That's lovely.
and she has been doing a lot of trainings, and she has even created coaching programs. So we have been working to create a program for coaches, like Ayurveda program for coaches.
That's very nice. It's a very interesting concept, and maybe the another first and another flag bearer for you, because naturally we haven't heard of that before in this industry.
Yeah.
So,
Even for yoga, last couple of years, I
mhm,
have done at least 5 different courses in Sweden and in Europe, and also the last one I did in January in Malaysia.
mhm,
Ayurveda for yoga teachers, because yoga teachers is another where people have to know a little bit more about Ayurveda. So as I mentioned, we do Ayurveda for corporate people, we do Ayurveda for medical professionals. Ayurveda is needed by everybody since it's an instruction manual for human system,
right,
and every professional has a human system. Everybody has a body, mind, and soul.
right.
So they must be aware of these systems, how to use them, where to not use them. So therefore, Ayurveda is for everybody.
Right. And I think you managed to reach out to everybody, which you have been doing quite successfully over a period of time.
Yeah,
I think it will become one of the mainstream forms of medicine or lifestyle, rather. I'd say it's a
yeah,
lifestyle change.
yeah. I think what we need, especially I always tell to the Ayurvedic doctors also that we need to really think out of the box. It's just not follow the just the blindly just one way. There's so many professions we can really go into. Like we have started a program. It's called Ayur Baby.
Mhm.
Can you imagine like how to produce an Ayurvedic child?
Really?
Because there is so much described in Ayurveda.
Uh-huh.
Preconception, how the both partners should clean themselves physically, mentally, spiritually, then nourish themselves. And because now we have so many genetic problems. Why? Because the partners, they just think, okay, it's just mating together and the sperm and egg come together and that's all. No, it's the quality of the sperm and the egg which matters. And not only quality, what is inside, what programming is there, what genetics is there. In Ayurveda, we go more beyond that.
That is quite intriguing. I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah,
not something everybody must have heard of, so that's new for our listeners.
yeah,
Ayur Baby is that's what
yeah,
you said,
Ayurveda. And already, I think there are hundreds of Ayur babies all over the world
right?
now.
Really?
And in this Mother's Day, we did
Mhm,
a very interesting webinar on Facebook
mhm.
where I invited some of the Ayur moms. I call them Ayur moms. So we had a very good discussion. There was one model, she's been my student now. She's from Russia.
Mhm.
And another lady from, she now lives in Mumbai. So there have been many ladies who have been following, and especially this young generation.
Yes,
They have no idea about planning. Planning a child. It's just planning. When you want to do something, you have to plan it. And plan it in a proper way. That's all.
absolutely, absolutely. But it's quite an intriguing concept again.
Mhm.
So, Dr. Chauhan, do you have any, life lessons or pearls of wisdom for our listeners today?
So one thing that I would like to tell my listeners and all the listeners who are listening to this podcast is that please try to relate with Ayurveda in a different way. Don't think that Ayurveda is just a medical science or you will need it only when you are having a chronic disease. Ayurveda is a part of our daily life, and it's like as I mentioned, it's an instruction manual. So we should all get connected to Ayurveda, and the basic goal of Ayurveda is to help people to lead a healthy, happy, and long life. Longevity is a very important part of Ayurveda. So if we want to live healthy, happy, and also have long life, and young, we want to remain young,
Mm-hmm.
so then we must connect with Ayurveda, and you can start very easily. You don't have to do some very complicated things. It's rather much simpler than yoga. In yoga, at least you have to buy a mat and do some kind of gymnastics. But Ayurveda is just about food, about sleeping, and I know, like just making some simple recipes at home. And if you have just basic thing, understanding your own prakriti or constitution. So those of you who want to know what type of body you are always welcome. We have a very nice test. It's called the VPK, Vata Pitta Kapha test, on our website jiva.com. You can always go there and at least start with this simple thing, that know yourself. And if you are, for example, if you are too much fire, you have too much heat or too much pitta, we call. So at least don't eat too much hot stuff. So knowing your prakriti and starting from there will be. And if you have any issues, any problems, We have various platforms. Our doctors are there to help you. Our health coaches are there to help you. We have social media presence in different places. So you're always welcome to get in touch and make yourself more connected with Ayurveda. And Ayurveda will transform your life.
That's absolutely beautiful. I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of listeners amongst us who will definitely take this advice very, very strongly, because I'm sure that they haven't really got that kind of advice from anybody else very often. So that's
Mhm.
wonderful. And Doctor, the last question today for you and the last segment, what empowers you?
Well, as a medical doctor or whatever healer or helper, whatever you want to consider me, the most empowering thing or the most inspirational thing is when somebody really comes back to me and tells me, you have changed my life, or Ayurveda has really helped me. I was, there are people who would come in that I was going to commit a suicide. I was suffering from this disease for 20 years, and now I want to live, and this is all because of Ayurveda. So this is something which keeps me going, and I keep on thinking of new ideas and new ways to reach out to people and help them. The most important thing is that I like to translate this traditional knowledge, which is primarily when I read the books, it's very technical and in Sanskrit. So, but I like to make it more simple and easily understandable to the masses.
Mhm.
So it keeps me going. People love me; they come back to me. So I'm very happy doing this job.
That's wonderful. Dr. Chauhan, thank you so very much for being on the Empowering series with me today. And we've had a very, very insightful, very holistic, rather, very educative, and very sage advice from you on how to actually perceive life with probably Ayurveda, holistic healing, lifestyle change.
Mhm.
And in general, to know your journey, that itself has been extremely empowering.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Dr. Chauhan, for being on the show. And
Thank you, Zarina. It was lovely talking to you. I really enjoyed the talk.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we definitely will connect because I'd love to know more about your Ayurveda. And Jiva Ayurveda is doing wonderful. People are swearing by it. I do know a lot of people myself. So, all the best to you and keep continuing the fantastic work you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Zarina.
If you liked this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.
I hope you enjoyed that show. We'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. It really has been a great week this week. We've had two of our first international cricketers show up, people who have played for their respective sides. We had W.V. Raman come on Edges and Sledges, the cricket podcast. If you haven't heard that, you should be listening to that if you enjoy cricket. It's really one of the best out there. And you should also definitely check out Monty Panesar, who showed up on Cyrus Says. That was another really interesting conversation that occurred. If you haven't been listening to a few of our shorter shows, please do that as well. Ashish Vidyarthi has been doing a great job for us. We got 30 episodes now on Begin the Journey. I think you really enjoyed that show. If you haven't listened to it, it helps you with understanding what's going on in this tough time and how to deal with it from a mental health perspective. We've also had some really fun stuff come up on the Smile India show. Shifa's been doing a lot of really good stories over there, things that just make you happy, so definitely do check that out. And on the more serious side, make sure that you're checking out our regular shows like the Pragati podcast, All Things Policy. They're definitely going to keep you up to date on what's going on in this COVID world. And thanks for listening, and we hope to catch you again next week.
Namaskar, dear Bandhu. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. These are truly challenging times, and in these times, we need hope. Do take time to listen to my podcast, Begin the Journey. Available on IVM Podcasts, website, app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Remember, there is hope because there's one life and we are alive.